you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Administrator. It's good to see you again. I get to see you over on EPW Committee quite a bit, so I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And I know that you are working to get things underway. I wanted to ask on the EPA's budget justification would devote millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to environmental justice activities. You and I have talked about environmental justice and a little bit how I differ in, or I would expand that definition, I think would be a better way to put it. Last month, the White House Environmental Justice Advisory Council concluded that carbon capture, utilization, and storage and the procurement of nuclear power do not benefit environmental justice communities. So I guess I would ask if you agree with that assessment, and is that reflected in your budget in terms of your environmental sections of your budget?
You know, I think the administration has been clear that carbon capture and storage and sequestration is one of our options for curbing these climate pollutants that we care so much about. I was just in North Dakota last week with both senators and the governor looking at the advanced research and development done, not only in the technology, but the understanding of the geological infrastructure that would support it. Our goal is to look at all of the technologies that are available that get the deepest emission cuts to curb the climate crisis. So
I guess what I'm asking more specifically is in your environmental justice part of your budget, which I'm not sure exactly, I can't figure out how much exactly that is, but I know it's a dedicated part of where you want to take and the president want to take the agency. Is there an exclusion, I guess, to what would be covered under environmental justice grants for certain communities? Would that be determined at the local level? Is this going to be determined by the committee who has concluded that nuclear power and carbon capture are not part of where you would see environmental justice inequities?
You know, I think that those are, we would describe as site by site. I mean, carbon capture, sequestration, and storage can't be done everywhere. I think that as part of our permitting process, if we got to that stage, we would look at the implications of the application of that technology on surrounding communities to be sure that we're preserving the health of those communities. So I guess I can't say that we've looked at CCS as an environmental justice issue because we haven't gotten to the point where we're actually permitting projects to determine the implications on potential sites.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you just generally I know this is an issue that you dealt with in North Carolina on pipelines. And I know you're not the principal, you do have a peripheral responsibility on the permitting of pipelines, certainly in the water area and all that. Have you made any changes in that area in terms of what was going on during the Trump administration as opposed to what you plan to do in the future?
We haven't made any changes at EPA. I think that I maintain the same position I have as a state regulator. FERC has jurisdiction over that siting. We believe that communities should be engaged with FERC when sites are chosen. We believe that public participation in the NEPA process should inform where these routes are sited. Our job at EPA is to be sure that once these projects are sited, that we look at the implications from a water quality standpoint, environmental degradation standpoint, and sort of what that means to the communities that are in closest proximity. Site-by-site determinations, and that's what we're doing at EPA.
In committee and EPW, and also here, you've mentioned in your written testimony, you mentioned too losing 1,000 professionals out of EPA. I think some of the folks at EPA actually went to the border. Am I correct on that? Some of the folks who work at EPA went to the border when the president called for additional help.
We have EPA employees that have volunteered for the assistance at the border for time periods of 30 to up to, I believe, 60 days. So there is a time where an employee can take 30 to 60 days, go and help with that humanitarian crisis, and then come back.
Even if you're down 1,000 people at the agency, you can afford to have that occur?
Well, listen, we've lost, in 2008, we had 18,000 employees. We're down to about 14,000 now. And the 1,000 employees that we're looking at not only replenish those that we lost, but just like every other agency, it's part of our succession plan, and we have an aging workforce. So we have to kind of plan for the future and think ahead. So there is sort of looking at the snapshot of now and in the foreseeable future, all of the challenges that this agency faces. To answer your question directly, yes, employees that want to take 30 to 60 days to volunteer for the humanitarian crisis, they have the ability to do so. And we have a structure in place where they work with their management to be sure that their duties are covered or don't interrupt the timelines for what we're on the hook to deliver.
Okay, all right. Thank you. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you too.